Today we're here to talk about the outrageous stats of police brutality throughout the United States. Over the last 3 years, in 2014, 1,297 Americans were killed by cops. In 2015, the number increased to 1,307. And as of today, in 2016, cops have killed 368 Americans. Cops are indicted for less than 1% of their killings, but citizens are indicted for around 90% of theirs. This shows us being a cop is about more than just protecting people. It shows you can harm people as well, and there is almost zero chance of being punished for it. People may say that killing an African American is not a racist thing within our police system, but the numbers say otherwise. And as a nation, we have to realize that this is a real life and escalating problem in the U.S. In the year 2015, police have killed an unarmed African American 5 times more often than Caucasians. Police killed at least 102 unarmed African Americans last year. That's nearly 2 people a week. About 1 in 5. About 1 in 3 African Americans killed by the police were identified as unarmed. But this number is expected to be higher due to the police failing to report all the information on the cases. 37% of unarmed African Americans were killed, even though African Americans only make up 13% of the population. But wait until you hear this. Only 10 of the 102 cases in 2015. That's right, only 10. Resulting in the officer being charged with a crime, and only 2 of these cases resulted in conviction of the officers, and only one of the 2 officers in the cases actually served jail time. But get this, the officer who was sentenced to jail time for the murder of Matthew Ajibade was sentenced to 1 year in prison and was allowed to serve his sentence exclusively on the weekends. So you mean to tell me an officer who was convicted of murder of an innocent African American gets the choice of what days he wants to serve his prison time? So he can just wake up one morning on the weekend and tell his family, "Oh, I'm going to go serve some of my prison time today. I'll be back on Monday." No, that's not how it works, and that shouldn't even be an option. But today, it's people in prison 24/7 as we speak, serving sentences way longer for drug charges or stealing. In a recent case of Tamir Rice, Cleveland officials have agreed to pay the Rice family $6 million to settle the lawsuit of the family. Tamir Rice was the youngest victim in the recent shootings of unarmed African Americans. One of the family's attorneys, and Ryan Brown, an organizer of Black Lives Matter in Cleveland. Under the terms of the settlement, Cleveland will reportedly admit no wrongdoing, and the Rice family will drop its complaint against the 2 officers. In other words, the Rice family was paid off for their child's murder, but will also drop the complaint, including the one who shot the 12-year-old child in 2014 while he was playing with a toy pellet gun in the Cleveland park. But also, a 911 caller reported seeing Rice with a weapon, but noticed that it was probably fake. The information was not relayed to the responding officers, who shot him within seconds of arriving on the scene. A grand jury has failed to bring the charges against either of the officers. Brown notes the prosecutor in the case was elected out of office in a recent primary, and says Black Lives Matter activists will now focus on calling for the officers to be fired. Also, a hot topic with the police shootings is in Baltimore. Baltimore police have shot and wounded a 14-year-old African American boy carrying a toy gun on the first anniversary of the funeral of Freddie Gray, who died from injuries sustained in police custody. On Wednesday, plainclothes police officers began chasing a 14-year-old Derek Colvin after they spotted him with a BB gun. Police says the officers opened fire, striking him as he ran away. His mother says he was shot in the leg and in the shoulder, and he's expected to recover. This comes just 2 days after officials agreed to pay $6 million to settle the lawsuit of the Rice family. In recent police brutality, in the case of Laquan McDonald has been one of the most talked about cases. Laquan McDonald was a 17-year-old boy who was shot 16 times by Officer Alvarez. He was born to a teenage mother, and from the age of 3, McDonald lived in different relatives' homes in foster care because he was taken away by DCFS, and they declared his mother not able to provide for him. At the time of his death, he was a student at Sullivan House High School, and he had had multiple juvenile arrests. According to the Chicago Tribune, few were surprised that McDonald grew into the often angry teen who embraced drugs and gangs that made up the brutal landscape of his West Side neighborhood. McDonald had learning disabilities and was diagnosed with a complex mental health disorder, including post-traumatic stress disorder. He had school suspensions and expulsions and truancies and drug possessions, arrests, and was in and out of juvenile detention. However, this is a violation of the Catholic Church because it violates the simple right to life and justice, which also violates one of the 10 commandments of thou shalt not kill. This violates human dignity because of the simple fact that the cops who are supposed to be here to protect us actually picking off African Americans one by one. This violates all laws given to the church due to the fact that it violates the basic right to life. The moral object and intent is to protect our country, and the circumstances often do not call for shots to be fired because most, if not all, of the victims were unarmed and could have easily been taken under custody. I see the vice of anger in this topic, and pretty much all the virtues are needed for this epidemic. And now I feel like the only way to resolve this problem is complete 100% cleanse of all policemen who have killed unlawfully and those who have contributed to the problem.